Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel, where it is actually getting a little bit later on in the evening, so I do not have coffee. I have a big thing of water that I have set down probably in the living room, so walked in here without it, but we did just have a really nice rainstorm, so I missed that too, but we have books. So, we're doing the best we can today. That's what we do on Mondays. And today I am bringing you guys a book that is really good that I think has been anticipated for some time. And I'm recording it the day before it is supposed to drop. And this book is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Now, I think it's been anticipated because I've actually had this book in my NetGalley account. I've had the ebook for probably several months, and I want to say at least since January or February, somewhere around in that time frame, before there was a cover available for it. And then just recently, within the past month or two, I did actually get just a small audio excerpt with about 3 hours of audio clip that I was able to enjoy as well. So I did worry that if I tried to record this too early, that I was going to probably forget what I was going to say. So I tried to read this as close to the due date as possible, and then I re-listened to those little 3 hours beforehand as well. So let us dive into this book really quick and go from there. I'm going to do my very best to try to avoid any spoilers, but if you've heard anything about it, it is going to be sapphic, queer, LGBT, and it does have vampires in it. So if you like any of that, this may be right up your alley. And Leo is sitting on the bed asking me for attention at the moment, even though he just had dinner. So I may have to go pause the video in a moment if he continues to ask for attention. From V.E. Schwab, the #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, a new genre-defying novel about immortality and hunger. This is a story about hunger. 1532 Santo Domingo de la Calzada. A young girl grows up wild and wily. Her beauty is only outmatched by her dream of escape. But Maria knows she can only be a prize or a pawn in the games played by men. When an alluring stranger offers an alternate path, Maria makes a desperate choice. She vows to have no regrets. This is a story about love. 1827, London. A young woman lives an idyllic but cloistered life on her family's estate until a moment of forbidden intimacy sees her shipped off to London. Charlotte's tender heart and seemingly impossible wishes are swept away by an invitation from a beautiful widow, but the price of freedom is higher than she could have imagined. This is a story about rage. 2019, Boston. College was supposed to be her chance to be someone new. That's why Alice moved halfway across the world, leaving her old life behind. But after an out-of-character one-night stand leaves her questioning her past, her present, and her future, Alice throws herself into the hunt for answers and revenge. This is a story about life, how it ends, and how it starts. It is considered fantasy, vampires, horror, fiction, LGBT, queer, and historical fiction, and so much more. It is about 560 pages, so it is a bit girthy, and so those 3 hours of audio book I got barely scraped the surface of the actual ebook I received. It is expected publication on June 10th of 2025, so I am planning to release this episode on the date of publication. And Leo did actually want to come over, or at least he said he did, whenever he was sitting on the bed crying at me. Right now, he's acting like he doesn't really want to be here, but he's just unsure about so many things in life, I think. What is it, buddy? Maybe I'll put him back on the bed now that he knows he got to come over and check things out. So one of the first things to kind of take note of when I first dove into the Goodreads of this, just upon opening it right now, is, again, if you've ever come on this channel, is you may remember or you may note that I don't frequently open Goodreads before I do my review for you all. I frequently write up my reviews after I've recorded my episodes for you guys. So when I come down to these comments, just to see if there's anything that I've missed while I'm talking, like talking to you, this is my first foray into those comments. And I do see the first one that is what I suspect pinned is from V.E. Schwab herself, Victoria Schwab. And it says, "After Addie, I swore I'd never put so much of my actual self into a book. And then I went and did this. Stripped down to my heart and bones and built a novel out of it. Everything I loved, everything I wanted, everything I feared. It's a hard to process that one day some of you will read it too. I'd normally never give my own work stars, but given what it took to get it down onto paper, I'm making an exception." So I'm so glad that she gave herself 5 stars for this book, because I think that when I review this book as well, I'm going to give it 5 stars. It's pretty raw, brutal, gut-wrenching, but it's really, really well done in such a good way. Can I say it's beautiful? It's beautiful in a way that brutalistic could be beautiful. If that makes sense to you, then I think you'll understand. If you've read it, then that probably also makes sense to you. It is like the characters are flawed but enthralling. The story is structured very well. We do kind of go back and forth in time between the characters of Maria, Lottie, Alice. We kind of see them in their various kind of states. We do kind of start out with Alice at a party. It seems to be kind of a frat party of sorts. She's kind of told herself she's going to put herself out there, almost get into this character. She's going to give herself this time limit that she's going to be this persona for this period of time. And then this girl walks into her life. Charlotte walks into her life. And she makes this choice. And she follows through with this choice. And it's, this is how her evening goes. And it really does keep you reading, because these, like, the emotions are there, and some of it can be a little spicy, but there's so much emotion behind a lot of the different things going on in this book. So it is dark and addictive, and like a lot of people are saying in their in their words. It doesn't just explore, as this person says, the relationships, but it does explore the pull, the allure between the characters. Maria. So Maria, she knows she has a draw about her, and even though she grew up on the slim side and where guys were attracted to her, again, she could draw men to her. She knew she could kind of choose the man that she wanted to marry. So she found the guy that she thought she would be able to, I guess, that would put her in the position she wanted to be in. Now, the guy that she chose ends up being quite monstrous, but that's, again, just the very first part of her story. I'm not going to dive too much into her story. This is just the beginning parts of her story. Same thing with Alice. This first foray into, and it's not her first foray into a lesbian relationship. It is simply the beginning of this story for Alice, for us, the readers. I think, though, it sets a spark in Alice of wanting to, it's like this hunger kind of alights in Alice from this point. something about this moment like ignites a fire in this character. And so this is like it's so hard for me to describe in a lot of different ways because and I'm reading it right here that someone says, and I'm quoting this particular person. Her name is Rowan, and there's no last name given, but she gave this book 5 stars. She said, "I saw some people criticize that there's no plot in this book, but let me tell you, this book pulls you in with feeling, not actions and twists." And that's why, for me, it's so hard for me to tell you from point A to point B, like what's going on and how we're getting from place to place, because we are driven by what we're feeling through the characters and how those characters are pulled between each other. There's the love like oxygen that they seem to be unable to escape, but it's also very destructive as well. And in a lot of ways, I also was like, ugh, I don't know if I would want that kind of situation. But then again, on another hand, I'm like, I kind of would like that sort of situation. I would like to be entangled with a person in that sort of way, or I wouldn't want to hurt with a sadness that sits on my chest, like, the weight of the world. But then again, maybe I actually kind of have sat with that feeling before, and now that it's past, maybe it doesn't feel so big, but when I was in it, it felt really, really bad. But the relationships are really what drive this book forward. I do feel as though there is not a significant plot, and I would agree with that because I'm not sure how I would describe it to you. Should I even try? And I guess that is a little lacking, and I can understand why one of these individuals did not finish it. And I guess I should note that this person, there was this one other individual who put it down after about 25%. Remember, it is about 560 pages in hardback, so that means she put it down after about 150 pages. Now, if after 100 pages for me a book cannot keep my attention, then that's when I usually just kind of put it down. This book kept my attention. I found it so very intriguing and engaging, but I couldn't put my finger on what it really was. I think it was just the energy for me. Now, you do have the different perspectives, you have the different timelines, and I don't feel like for me it was dragging. For this person, it does seem as though it was dragging. The relationships could be perceived as maybe not feeling mature, because at times I felt as though this was the first time some of these people had been in significant relationships. But I guess if you're doing a relationship right, then you're only going to have a very few in your life that are going to be like momentously like epic. You're only going to have the few that should be earth shattering. Not every single relationship you enter into should be earth shattering. I feel like I've only had 2 that I felt were earth shattering, and to the point I'm at the point now that I don't even feel like I want anymore, because like the ones that I've had were enough. But I don't know. I haven't put a pin in it yet or anything like that. But should the opportunity present itself, then I am open to it. But I could see where for some people the relationships could be perceived as potentially like juvenile or naive. I'm just trying to think. The ending was awesome. I loved it. I loved it. Just get to the ending. It's super great. Um, it will it will leave you with a book hangover. It is a standalone, so just putting you there, like, it's a standalone book. It sits with you, still sitting with me, even though I read it a little bit ago and then I re-listened to like those 3 hours. Those 3 hours don't really get you anywhere into the meat of the story. They only just start teasing you with the things to come. I do wonder how long the actual audiobook is, if it's 560 pages. I would have to look. I feel like it would be pretty long though. But overall, I feel like it's a really beautifully written story. But I don't know. It's really hard for me to figure out what to tell you guys. Because, like I said, we do have Maria. Maria, who feels as though she thinks she's going to be able to manipulate her husband, but then she kind of has to deal with the repercussions of what comes with being married to a man who takes what he wants. Then she's going to have to figure out what to do now that she has to live with the in-laws, because he's traveling and he's getting pudgy and he's getting less attractive than he was. So now he's just gross and she no longer finds him attractive, and she absolutely does not want to have his children. And the mother-in-law is yapping at her constantly. So she's trying to figure out a way to get out of that whole situation. There's also a very mysterious widow who showed up when Maria was a child, and has now shown up when she's about 20-ish years old. And so after a couple years of being married, Maria is still barren, has not had any children, even though Maria has come to discover that the lord that she is married to seems to have perhaps had an illegitimate child. At least that's what it sounds like. It's what I'm inferring, at least from one particular comment that was made. But that's just one particular part of the story. So we do have Maria and the widow as one part of the story. And then, of course, we have Alice, who's a little bit more present day, who's kind of doing her whole introspection sort of thing with regards to like, school is really just kind of started, and so she goes to this party and she is absolutely feeling super crappy. So at this particular point, you're like, something's kind of up. What is going on with Alice? So this is where you know, what has happened? But I don't know. Maybe you'll figure it out. I figured it out pretty quickly. But Maria absolutely did deserve better than the weird-ass husband that she got and all the rest. Just saying. Alice was pretty fierce. I really kind of liked her a lot, too. Everybody's a little bit toxic. Everybody's a little bit of a terrible person. I'm just trying to think. It's now I will go ahead and tell you, this book will not be for everyone. If this book does not sound like it is for you, please do not pick it up and try to make that shoe fit, because you will not enjoy yourself. I picked it up with a pretty clear understanding of V.E. Schwab's writing style, and knowing that it can be a little bit contentious at times, and it can certainly be hit and miss with me as well. Now, for this particular book, I did read a bit of the summary because I wanted to see what the hype was going to be about this book. And then I went ahead and read the book, because I was like, I think this is one of those books that's probably going to be pretty talked about this summer. And I feel, I don't know. I don't want to say confidently it's not going to win any awards, but I do think it's probably going to be pretty popular this summer. It's not going to good. I don't think it's going to be up there with Sarah J. Maas, but anyway, I think it's going to do pretty well. I think it's one that's going to be pretty picked up this summer because I think a lot of people are looking forward to it, and it's been, at least according to Goodreads, the reviews are fairly high. So I'm just saying, it is raw and gut-wrenching and pretty gritty. So you've got all of that. Now I know that doesn't tell you a ton about the book because, again, there's not a ton of plot. So take that as you will. I don't really know what to tell you. Because even when I was looking at some of these comments just to make sure, I was still correct because I thought maybe I was missing something. I still really like this book. I still read it. Now it did take me a couple days because again it was a longer book, and when I have a longer book I do break it up into chunks and it takes me a little bit longer. But I still wondered, like, was I missing something? And I guess I wasn't, but I still got a really good story out of it. Or I still really got a good overall perception of it. But anyway, alright, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there, because now at this particular point, I will start talking about, like, all the things that people start doing, and I don't want to. Because I think that's all I have left is all of the things that people start doing to each other. And, well, you just need to read. Because I don't know if all of that is PG enough for this particular channel. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am now looking at my puppy who just went back to sleep on his pillow. It's so adorable. Oh, so cute. Anyway, y'all have a great day. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I'll see you on the next page.